Well, hello everyone. This is Tex Pat Robert Rice. You know, we are being inundated from all sides. We are being screamed at from all sides that things are super bad. And you know what? That is actually not true. I talk to people all over the world, and things are not super bad. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you this, but the media throughout the world has lied to everyone. And the World Health Organization has lied to everyone. Now, I just went on the Center for Disease Control, the American Center on Disease Control. I went to their website and again to the coronavirus subject there. This is what they're saying: that it is hard to contract the coronavirus. It's not that easy. It doesn't float around in the air waiting for you to breathe it in. It doesn't live very long on a hard surface. It doesn't, it dies pretty quickly. So here are the things. You have to have a prolonged contact, according to the CDC, a prolonged contact with a person who has the coronavirus. In other words, 15 to 30 minutes is what they're saying. Also, wearing a mask will not stop you from getting the coronavirus. Separation of 1 meter or 2 meters will not stop you from getting the coronavirus. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. If you want to know how viruses work, study up and research microbiology. Okay? It's easy to do. Everybody has a cell phone that can access the internet. If you have a laptop, you can access the internet. If you have a desktop, you can access the internet. You can find out all kinds of information. You just go to the source. Don't rely on what the media is telling you. They are lying to you. The idea of everybody having to walk around with a mask is a conditioning. They are conditioning you for something else. The idea that you have to be separated 1 meter or 2 meters apart is a conditioning. This is an enforced separation. It is designed to separate people, not to protect them from the coronavirus, but it is designed to separate you away from each other. It is designed to separate families away from each other and extended families away from each other. It is a conditioning for something that's coming down the pipe. The bankrupting of economies is a conditioning for you to accept something lesser than what you had before. That's all it is. There is something else coming down the pipe. I know what it is. Every spirit-filled, born-again Christian knows what that is. But the world doesn't know it. because they don't know Jesus Christ, for one thing. Less than 10% of this world is Christian, actual really Christian, and all the rest of this world is absolutely not. So here's the thing. A friend of mine sent me a link to the Singapore Straits Time. And they had an article in there about a second wave of coronavirus is going through America, and Texas is the one that's leading the way. Well, that article was not written by someone in Singapore. They just copied that article from Bloomberg. And the people that wrote it, and I couldn't find anywhere where there was a actual reporter that reported on this, because I would call out that reporter by name. So the reporter is hidden because the reporter did not actually do any homework. So if you've read that article, and I'm going to produce the article right here. If you have not read that article, then that's a good thing, because you didn't get lied to again. But if you read the article and you didn't do your own homework to verify whether they were saying what was true, then you set yourself up to be lied to. It is imperative that everybody do their own homework. In other words, go to the source, and you'll find out your answer. Take the time to research. Actually, you all been to school. Most of the people have gone to high school and finished high school. And in high school, you should have learned how to do research. If you've been to college, one of the first things that you learn is how to research, because you have to write papers in college. In fact, your whole college career is about writing papers. So you learn how to do research. You learn how to ask the questions. Now, how do I know that this story is not true? Well, for one, I'm a Texan, born and raised. Number two, I know how to ask questions, and I know how to research. So here's what happened. Texas, it looked like when they produced the numbers that Texas had a spike in cases after Texas opened up. Well, here's what happened if people would bother to research it and actually look at the thing. In Texas, the numbers for civilians were kept in one file. The numbers for the inmates were kept in another file. What happened is somebody put those two files together, and it made it look like there was a sharp increase, when actually there was no increase at all. Now, I understand people are afraid of diseases, but we don't shut the world down for dengue. We don't shut the world down for the common flu, which in reality has killed more people this year than the coronavirus. But they're not telling you that. In 2018, the flu had killed more people than the coronavirus has this year worldwide. So what is the issue? Well, the issue is truth. Now, I understand that there are people in political parties that are just wanting you to be conditioned to accept something less. And I'm telling you, accept nothing less than what you had before. There is no such thing as a new normal. It's just more restrictive. It's not normal. Any restrictions that have been placed on you since February of 2020 is not normal and never will be normal. I mean, come on, you've got checkpoints now where they're demanding to see a pass for you to travel from town to town or city to city or barangay to town or town to city. That is not normal. The world is falling apart through guerrilla type organizations and insurrection in countries. The United States is one of them. And you're worried about a pass of whether or not you can go from one place to another because of COVID-19. It is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this is absolutely nuts. And people are walking around with masks on like they're going to catch the coronavirus at any possible time. That the mask is going to protect them. It's not going to protect you. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. And you're spending a lot of money on buying things like masks, and they're not going to help you. I see commercials for it all the time. It's absolutely ridiculous. Go back to normal. This thing is not going to kill. It is not a mass pandemic. This thing is not going to kill millions upon millions upon millions or even a billion people. And something else I found out. Now, we know this thing started in China, in the Wuhan province. It did not start in the wet market. It started at their microbiology laboratory. And then they inflated the fear. And then it was China that actually inflated all this fear. Because as soon as it was reported out, they locked down the province. But I think they did this on purpose because they didn't want the world to see what they were doing. And I'm not talking about the virus. What is it about Wuhan that they closed up the whole province? I did a little research. And here's what I found out. Wuhan is the place where Christian missionaries first entered into China. It is the place where Christianity has taken hold. It is the place where you have both officially registered churches and unregistered churches. It is the place where Christianity had a strong stand in China. And personally, I believe this is what happened. They released the virus. Then they scared everybody about the virus. And they locked down Wuhan. Whereas the strongest and most populous Christians live in China. And they went down there and systematically killed, exterminated, and destroyed churches, home churches, meeting places. They arrested them, possibly sent them off to re-education camps, or killed them. I have not been able to get any word out of Wuhan through Christian sources. But before this so-called pandemic was released, Wuhan was basically the Christian capital of China. And it has been increasingly getting worse and worse and worse for Christians before that point. They had opened it up to allow for it. But then all of a sudden, they clamped down. And here's the reason why. Christianity has, according to the Chinese, has to be stamped out. They don't care about Buddhists. They really don't care about Islam. They don't care about Shinto. They don't care about Confucianism or anything like that. They don't really care about that. They only care about Christianity. Because here's what happens. When a person has become a real Christian, their eyes are opened. They see the world as it really is. They have been set at liberty. The chains which bound them are no longer there. Their minds are now open. They can actually think for themselves. They can actually speak for themselves instead of the party line. You can think of their own thoughts and not think about the party line. The CCP, the Communist Chinese Party, deliberately went in there to subjugate and to control and to try to eliminate their so-called Christian threat. That's what happened. All this nonsense that's going on throughout the world of wearing masks and separating each other off and doing all this other nonsense is nothing more than a distraction for you to not look at what they did. And setting this world up for world socialism or world communism. And they're going to set it in a one world government where nobody is elected to it. They're going to be appointed to it. And let me tell you something, it's going to be the very richest people that are going to be appointed to this. The little guy like you, me, I mean, we're not going to have a say in the matter. It's just the way it is. But that's what is happening. They were trying to stamp out Christianity in China, especially in this most populous place, because it was a threat to them. Freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom of life, liberty. Even though you may bind our hands physically, you cannot bind the heart, and you cannot bind the mind. Not if a person has the Spirit of God dwelling within them. You can kill them. You can cut out the tongues, cut off the hands, but you still have not bound that person. You can kill them, but every time you kill one, 10 more arise because they see the grace for which that person has died. Falsely imprisoning people results in evangelism. That's what happens. China is about to explode with evangelism. So much so that there will be nothing the Chinese Party, Communist Party can do. Asia is ripe for evangelism. It's ripe for it. And Jesus Christ is still king. The Chinese Party is not king. Anyways, just my thoughts. It went a little longer than I thought, but once I get going, that's the preacher in me. Once I get going, it just starts to go. Jesus Christ is Lord. And if you think that, and you question God as to why these things are happening in this earth, question yourself. Why have you been disobeying God? Why have you trusted in your man and not trusted in God? The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. And the Chinese Party, Communist Party, knows there is a God. They know Jesus Christ is coming back. They know, but they don't want the people to know because they want power and they want global power. That's the same with anything where they subjugate people with compulsory types of conversion. Any religion, any government. Comes along with some compulsory type conversion. You get just lip service. That's all you get is lip service. Do you think that Christian that you tortured, this family you killed, whose house you bulldozed to the ground, do you think they're seriously going to consider your words as more important than Scripture? Anyway, this is Text Pat Robert Rice. Thank you.